Good God, some of y'all are the most annoying human beings I have ever had the displeasure of interacting with. Hello, welcome to a very special informative video, aimed at two kinds of people. 1. Those who say the fruit FLIs are not all China's daughters, and 2. Those who say she didn't love her fruity bug babies. I am so tired of getting these comments, especially when it seems you played none of the actual game before commenting some dumb shit to me. Imagine telling me to read the lore, something you apparently can't even do, and being so loud and wrong with your opinion on these characters. 1 minute of brief research will tell you I know what I'm talking about. I've been horribly obsessed with these characters for over a year now. Do I need to use toddler terms to get this information through your heads? Apologies for the hostility, but oh my god. Anyways, let's get started with the "they're not her daughters" bullshit. Here are some screenshots and my arguments after. Allow me to briefly start by saying that regardless of how you see them, they are a canon family. Bela, Cassandra, and Daniela are all China Dimitrescu's daughters, even if they're not biologically hers. Adoption and found family are actual things, and all things considered, they likely had a much better life in the castle as fly-like mutants than they did living in the village or wherever they're from originally. We don't even know where they're from, by the way. As far as I'm aware, assuming they were maids is simply speculation. We just don't know. Let's get on with the most recent comment. Like the person responding said, "Where do y'all even get this shit from? The most we know is that they were corpses when they were experimented on, but we don't know how they died, who they were beforehand, etc. Nothing points to where she kidnapped them or who they even were before the experiments took place." Again, where the fuck? Ethan is the only one to call them witches, and not only does he not know their backgrounds, but it's used as an insult, not an identifier. And again, nowhere in the lore does it say they weren't from the village or that they were just witches beforehand. Nowhere does it say they even knew each other before the experiments. Just say y'all never played the game. Alcina took them under her wing because she felt a motherly bond with them, not because they didn't remember anything. Does this note ring a bell, by chance? Argue with the wall. Also, who the fuck plays this game and tries to say they're not her daughters? Do you know how many times she refers to them as her children?
The man is of no real use to anyone else, and my daughters do so love entertaining foreigners. Furthermore, I can assure you if you entrust the mortal to House Dummies, my daughters and I shall deliver them to the finest.
Way ugly!
Cassandra, a word! What is that man up to? You're my daughter! Now act like it!
Of course, Mother.
Mother, I bring you fresh prey.
You are so kind to me, daughters. Starting to go a little stale.
Then let's devour his man-flesh quickly, Mother. I am the one who captured him.
Now, daughters. Because he is in my castle and has already proven too much for my daughters to handle. When I find him...
Do you know how much she rages or gets upset that her daughters are dead?
It was cold, wasn't it, Dad? What have you done to my daughter?
Cassandra, you pushed yourself too far. Cassandra? Cassandra? No! How much blood and sweat do you think it took to raise those daughters? You have incurred an impossible debt!
Did you know that the flowers on her chest, right over her heart, represent her love for her daughters? Oh, but they're not her daughters. Adoption means nothing. Found family? Nope, you're not a family unless you're blood related. Like, what the fuck? Where do I even start? Of course you'd be one of the dumb motherfuckers that thinks it's unethical to adopt because the child didn't consent. Would you rather they have been Moroica, left as soulless husks to wander to castle's halls? Also, since when is Alcina a zombie? She was never dead when she was experimented on, just her daughters were. It's canon that she had to ingest blood to survive even when she was human because of a disease she has, if I'm remembering correctly, and she just took it to a new level after the Kadu. She's just a very tall cannibal lady. Let's also talk about the pretty sure they don't have free will bit. Since when do they not have free will? They all make their own choices throughout their section. They have different personalities, and they're still clearly pretty human, even if they're a bit fucked up now. They follow Alcina's orders and requests because they respect her, and it's what noble families do. They don't act like we would. Not that she would mistreat them because they're noble, but of course it's gonna look weird to us. And since when has adoption not been considered real family? What? A majority of adoptees consider their adoptive families their real families, and this is no different. It may be stranger and in typical circumstances, but if we're assuming Alcina adopted them, they would be a family. That's how that works, considering the girls even call her mother. Can y'all just stop commenting dumb shit like this? You look like an idiot that never moved past a second grade thinking level. No one is even denying they were test subjects, but that's not what we're talking about. We know they were experiments, but that doesn't change the fact that they're a family. Cry about it. What makes this whole situation worse is that us calling them a family isn't even a headcanon. They are canonically a family, confirmed by in-game events and director comments on concept art. Also, I feel like saying adoptive families aren't real families is super disrespectful anyway. Family isn't always blood related. It's a social construct in a lot of cases, and you can form a familial bond with your friends or non-blood related people. The whole "but they were maids" comment stems from this one note where some maids' names are listed, and it's assumed by the fandom they were the girls pre-Kadu. But even then, it's not been confirmed, as far as I know. They literally could have been anyone. Maids, travelers, hikers, followers, who knows? Then we have this dipshit comment. What expenses are they even talking about? My bad, it's obviously so canon that Alcina bought them just for them to be experimented on. For those that aren't aware, the girls aren't even Alcina's experiments, they're Miranda's, which further backs up they were followers of her before the experimentation. Like we see in this note, they were gifted to Alcina, likely when they were assumed to be failed vessels for Ava or as a reward for her loyalty. I'm not denying that it's pretty fucked up, but they're now a family. That's that. End of story. Keep crying about how you think adoptive families aren't real families. God, some of y'all give me such a headache. It's why I hate when videos like that get popular, because then my comments are flooded with people who lack critical thinking skills. Let's move on to another comment under the same video. Literally, no one is denying that they are experiments. No one. Aside from that, the girls were subjected to one experiment, and they don't remember it. If it was painful for them, they don't remember. After that single experiment, Alcina took them in and raised them as her own. They were fed, given a place to live, and it's implied their hobbies were encouraged by her. Congrats on letting us know you didn't play the game. Imagine telling me, Roganon or Xenomyth, this with a straight face and thinking you did something, as if I don't always back up what I say with canon proof, as if I don't have an entire account dedicated to these women. You think I haven't read the lore inside and out? You think I haven't come up with my own theories and headcanons on the matter? It would take maybe 5 minutes of research to know that. Y'all are just goofy. You're allowed to think what you want, but you don't need to get upset and block someone over them telling you literal canon events. Makes it really funny for me though. There are definitely more comments under that video about how Alcina isn't their mom or how none of them actually care about each other because they're murderers. But we'll move on. Let's talk about how much Alcina loves her daughters. We've already discussed how often she calls them her children and what her flower represents, as well as how she reacts when they die. The main argument I see as to why she doesn't love her daughters is because of her narcissistic personality and how she only seems to care for herself. While Fanon does make her more gushy with them than we see in canon, which is understandable, considering it's very clear she loves them and views them as her own blood, even if they're not. Even as a psychology major, I am wary to claim a fictional character has NPD, especially because not only does she not meet all of the criteria for it, but she can be a bit self-centered and egotistical without actually having NPD. Oftentimes, many symptoms of disorders will overlap, but the person will not have the disorder. You can also have symptoms of a disorder, but not actually have it. It's kind of weird. A main aspect of even being a narcissist is that you don't love others and you have a lack of empathy for others' feeling, which goes against what we see in game. I will explain this a bit further under a different topic, but I don't want to run the risk of repeating myself. Anyways, it's literally canon that she loves her daughters, so that already tells me she doesn't even have NPD. I feel like sometimes y'all come up with stuff like this just to claim she doesn't love her kids, which is whack. Alcina does think highly of herself, and in some ways, she has every reason to. She's relatively indestructible, super strong, tall, and hot. She's confident in herself. Her Kudu experimentation has certainly clouded a bit of her judgment of herself and how she perceives herself. However, being confident does not make you a narcissist. This might help my earlier point about her not having NPD. Someone can have narcissistic traits like she does, but not actually have NPD. It's classified and usually distinguished by the fact that people with NPD cannot experience unconditional love. There is always some condition or future manipulation that goes into how they love someone, and that's not what we see in game. This isn't me saying she doesn't have narcissistic traits, because she does, but between the way she talks to her daughters and how she rages when they're killed off, yeah, she doesn't have NPD. Let's move on and talk about another common argument I've seen that makes no sense because it's a literal game mechanic.
She slices at Cassandra, and she braces for it. She abuses them.
As far as what we know of canon goes, she does not abuse them. There's literally no evidence that would point to the idea that she does. In all my playthroughs, I've never once even seen Alcina and Cassandra in the same room together. The latter always laughs and leaves when her mom appears, likely as a respect thing, but I also think it's just a game mechanic to make it less difficult on the player. Cassandra moving and bracing herself when Alcina slashes her claws is a literal game mechanic. The Moroica and Ethan even do it. You need to have very rare and special circumstances to even see this happen, and we never once see her lay a hand on them, aside from this rare occurrence. Did some of y'all just forget the situation they're in? Some random white dude broke into their house and is slowly picking them off. It's a stressful situation for everyone, and it literally wouldn't make sense for her to be lovey-dovey with them. Save for Daniela. She sends her daughters to hunt Ethan on their own because they are adults and she trusts them to handle themselves. Normally, they would be able to, but for plot reasons, they were taken out. That's a whole other can of worms I don't feel like opening right now. I can already smell the Ethan stans getting upset. Anyways, she didn't abandon them or intentionally get them killed like some of y'all like to say. If they were allowed to actually be themselves, Bela would have killed Ethan in the kitchens the moment she was weakened, or perhaps before. Again, for plot reasons, the girls were given silly weaknesses to make it easier for Ethan and the player to be rid of them and continue with the game, which is another issue. Do some of y'all know how stupid you sound when you say that Alcina had the chance to reinforce the windows with bulletproof glass and didn't because she knew her daughter's weaknesses and didn't care? Ethan would not have made it past Bela if the windows were reinforced and couldn't be broken. It's a plot point, not something to be like, huh, gotcha, she didn't love them. We can also talk about one of Alcina's voice lines that I've seen used to say she didn't love them. The iconic line that goes,
The entire bloodline of House Dimitrescu is done in by the likes of you.
I don't think this means what some of y'all think it means. She doesn't say it because she cares more about the Dimitrescu bloodline than her own daughters. She says it because she's surprised Ethan was able to actually kill her daughters and come out of it relatively unharmed. Which, like I said before, if they were allowed to actually be themselves, yeah, he would have been killed in about 15 minutes tops. Sorry, not sorry. That voice line is also meant to be an insult to him. She sounds disgusted when she says it, and she's literally saying you, a nasty little man thing, were the one to kill my daughters? So again, I really don't think it means what some of you seem to think it means. Also, did we just conveniently forget about my favorite speech?
Oh, shit.
There you are. All this for a child who isn't even here.
What the hell do... Ah!
You ungrateful, selfish wretch! You come into my house! You lay your filthy man hands on my daughters! And now you even try to steal my property! How dare you!
Yeah, she definitely doesn't love them. I've seen plenty of people say that this speech indicates she sees her daughters as her property, which objectively isn't true. When she makes the comment about him stealing her property, she's talking about how he took the key she had hanging up as a trap for him. Rose's body part technically belonged to her, since it was given to her by Miranda. But again, that doesn't make it any less fucked up. It's just how it is. She also locks Daniela away in the library, something further confirmed by the fact you can hear her walking around inside before you get the key to unlock it. She locks Daniela in the library because she knows she's the weakest of her daughters, and she wants to further protect her and save at least one of them. She doesn't use her daughters or think of them as simply objects to further her own wishes. They're not pawns in some game she's playing. They're people, and she views them as such. Whenever I talk about how Alcina loves her daughters in my captions, I have sometimes received the occasionally comment that says something along the lines of, "But she's a cruel person. She doesn't love them." This just in. Bad people don't have feelings. Okay, well, some don't, but it's clear Alcina does. Remember when I talked about NPD earlier? It's very clear she does think of herself as superior to most people. So do you really think she would consider her daughter's family if she didn't love them, or at the very least, care about them to an extent? If she didn't, they would actually be reduced to servants, and she wouldn't call them her daughters, nor would she get angry or upset at their deaths. While I've seen plenty of posts saying she doesn't love these girls, this is all I can think of right now. I can make another video if I find more arguments, or if y'all inform me of some more. I just genuinely don't understand why people are so against the idea of her loving her daughters and actually treating them decently. Like, just because she's not super lovey or physically affectionate doesn't mean she doesn't love them. My love language is quality time. Would that mean I don't love my friends just because I'm not a physically affectionate person? No. We really don't know how they treat one another outside of the game's stressful events, but even with those, it's clear they care about their family. I mean, you'd have to if you lived with others for over 70 years. Anyways, that's all I have to say on the matter right now. I hope this all made sense, even if I know it won't change some people's opinions. Some of y'all are just weird as hell and clearly did not play the same game I did to say she doesn't love those girls dearly. Feel free to send this video or link it to anyone who says she doesn't love them, or, if you want, send them my way. I love getting blocked for stating canon events to little piss babies. Hope y'all are staying safe and happy. Remember to drink some water and eat some food, and thank you so much for watching.